picture of New Zealand is the clean, green, rolling hills, and it all looks very beautiful, and then sometimes a few sheep and maybe a few cows. But the fact is that the vast majority of animals in New Zealand are actually factory farmed. Factory farming is the industrialized, intensive farming of animals. It involves keeping animals in very unnatural conditions, keeping them inside darkened sheds, kept in cages where they can't escape from, they can't express their normal patterns of behavior at all. It is fast food farming, if you like. It is farming animals at the cheapest way possible to get a very mediocre product for the cheapest price. So when we're talking about factory farms in New Zealand, we're talking mainly about chickens that are either farmed for their meat or their eggs, or for pigs that are farmed for their meat. We actually factory farm in New Zealand 90 million meat chickens per year, around 3 million chickens in cages for egg laying, and around 800,000 pigs are also intensively farmed in New Zealand. A meat chicken would typically have lived in a shed together with another 60,000 chickens at a stocking density of around 20 birds per square meter. So there's not a lot of space. These chickens are being fed a very monotonous diet, but it's a diet where they grow quite fast on. They actually grow so fast that they experience real problems. They experience problems with their organs, with their heart and their livers, because all the energy goes to growing muscle. Also, they grow so fast that the birds have difficulty standing on their own legs. And it's very common for these birds to die 10 centimeters away from their feeding bowl because they can't take that last step to eat anymore. So 8,000 die every single day of disease in New Zealand. And the ones that do survive get killed at an age of only about 6.5 weeks. So it's a very short and very brutal life. The antibiotic issue in the meat chicken industry is actually a big issue. We are still feeding chickens antibiotics here that have actually been banned for animal feed in Europe. When people eat the chickens, they are actually eating this low level of antibiotic. Now, I say to people that if you're eating a chicken in New Zealand, you may well be eating a diseased, crippled animal, because we know that most of them are, so why not the one you're eating tonight? So in the egg industry, when obviously life also for the chicken starts after the chicken crawls out of an egg. If the chicken is a female, the chicken will then be raised to end up in a battery hen cage to lay eggs herself. If that chicken ends up being male, then that chicken is going to be killed. They don't fatten up the males for eating in New Zealand because those egg-laying breeds are not really suitable for eating because they're scrawny little birds compared to the meat chickens. So the industry considers them as wastes and therefore kills the males straight away on day one. So in New Zealand we factory farm 3 million hens in battery hen cages for their eggs. And at the moment each cage contains around 5 birds and each chicken has less space than an A4 sheet of paper. The cage is completely barren and the chicken is standing on a sloping wire floor. And it means that for her entire life in the cage, which is about a year, the chicken has to fight the slope of the cage. And the reason why there's a slope of the cage is so that the eggs roll out and can be easily collected by the farmer. After the hen has lived her sort of 16 months in a cage, she's then killed by the farmer. They're not suitable for sale in supermarkets as meat chickens because again they're not a meat bird. So the life of a battery hen in the cage is probably one of the worst lives of any farmed animal in New Zealand, I think. Pig farming is a little harder to explain because there's different practices on different farms. Some are very intensive and some are completely free range, and others can be a mixture of that. But by and large, if you grow up on a pig factory farm, and especially if you're a female pig, you can lead a very, very bad life. In New Zealand, we have about 30,000 sows that are used as breeding sows that live on factory farms. And when they are impregnated, they are kept in what's called dry sow stalls. The sow stall is effectively a metal crate which is about 60 centimeters wide and 2 meters long. The reason why they're kept in these sow stalls is that one farmer can look after dozens and dozens of pigs. So it's an economic benefit. You don't need much labor to look after a large number of animals. When she's ready to give birth, the sow is then removed from the sow stall and put in another crate where she can't turn around either. And the farrowing crate really is not much different than a sow stall. It's also about 60, 70 centimeters wide, 2 meters long. Pig can stand up, lie down. And in the farrowing crate she will give birth, and she doesn't have any material to make a nest. She just gives birth on a hard floor. And when the piglets are born, the mother can just lie there and suckle and nurse her piglets, but she can't look after them properly as she would do in normal circumstances. After 4 weeks, the piglets are removed from the mother, and then they will go into fattening pens where they get raised for slaughter. And the mother will simply be impregnated straight away after she gets out of the farrowing crate, and then will end up again inside the sow stall. So for a mother pig, the cycle of abuse is constant. So she will have about 2 litters a year, and she may produce litters for maybe 4 years before she gets slaughtered herself. Yeah, when you consider that a pig is an intelligent animal and even more intelligent than a dog, if you were to keep dogs in the same conditions, you would actually be prosecuted for animal cruelty and you go to jail. And yet we allow it to happen to pigs. So it's pretty hypocritical, isn't it? I think a lot of people in the past really didn't think too much about animal welfare, and they really didn't think too much about what are an animal's needs and feelings, and so therefore they were just farmed the way we thought best. And over the last decade especially, a lot of research has been done by some quite eminent scientists into the emotional lives of animals. And what they have found is that animals are very similar to us humans with regards to emotional feelings. You know, they can be happy, they can be sad. Personally, I believe that New Zealanders have a sense of fairness, and when I talk to people on the street, most people are opposed to animal cruelty. And a lot of people really love their cats, they love their dogs, and they would look after them very well. And I'm pretty sure that those people that care about those animals, that have a sense of fairness, they would actually agree with SAFE on the factory farming issue. They would look at it and say, yeah, that's not right, we should not keep animals like this. You know, we're a country where we have lots of space, we have a nice climate, we can do better than that. And I think those are the people we're calling on to say, well, you know, make that change.